All right, good morning. We're just going to start with the basic preparation training. Just give a little bit of overview real fast, and then we'll get into the practice lab.
Feel free to write stuff down.
Just give me 1 second here. Okay, there we go. So an overview is what to expect as a tax prep volunteer, what to expect on your basic certification, important topics and tax prep and basic certification relevance. Reminder, you cannot take the basic certification until you've completed the first 2 tests, which is the standards of conduct and the intake, interview, and quality review. The basic will not appear until they are complete. I know that like the first 2 will pop up and then you have to go and hit basic. But if you want to see the other 2, you have to like go back into like the main page to see all of them. What to expect as a volunteer tax preparer. You have legal protections for volunteers. That means the IRS will not allow you to be sued if you mess up. You'll never prepare alone. We're always here for questions. Don't be afraid to ask. No question is stupid, in my opinion. I'd rather have you ask the question and then it just not be necessary or relevant to the tax return, or it actually is, and that way you can learn it. Your safety is our top priority. If you need masks, gloves, wipes, hand sanitizer, we have all that here for you. I do suggest, obviously, it's all most of it's volunteer, to at least wipe down your computers if you're volunteering here. The basic test is more challenging than what you will typically see at the site. So what you do in your test booklet is they're just trying to challenge you a little. You're really not going to see too much of any of that here or at VITA for you guys. It's mostly W-2s for the most part, or pensions. What we need from you, all VITA sites must provide the proof of passing the various certifications, which is that form 13615 that you hit the box, sign your name to it, and have it printed out. There's a tax alert binder for any new relevant tax laws that are changing, which remind me before you leave, there might be a change coming up. Review binder in each visit to see if there are any new tax laws. Sign off that you read the alert just to make sure that it's in there. It's in our volunteer room. I'll show you that. I don't know where yours is, Dallas, but I know ours is where you sign in and sign out, which we'll show you. We do need you to sign in when you came in, the date, the time, when you sign out, the time. It gives us credit for in-kind hours and community investment hours. For our funders, they want to make sure that you know, their money's going to a great cause and that we're able to get volunteers in here. What to expect on your basic certification test. So you need to have passed the 24 out of 30 questions to get this correct. I skipped the first one because we have to go there and get a few people signed in, so I'll just come back to that. Complete volunteer standards of conduct and the intake quality review. Open the basic test. Some initial basic questions that don't include a full practice return. A few scenarios do require you, 7 through 9 do require you to do a basic return on the practice labs. Last year, if you're returning, I've sort of kind of done the same thing as last year for the basic exam initial questions. I have correlated like each question to the section and what page you can find it on. So like for scenario 1, question 1, filing status, you can find it in section B, page 12. Somewhere on that page, you're going to find the answer to that question. I've done all of that, even the practice labs. So on like basic scenario 7, you'll see form 1040, that is the tax return. So you'll have to do a little bit of reading after you do the practice lab to find the answer. And I'll show you how to read a 1040 today, so you guys aren't. That's the 4012. Yep. If it says 4012, that's where it is. If it says 1040, you actually have to do the practice lab and read the actual tax return, the mock tax return. So I've done that. Obviously, each bullet is, you know, a new question where you can find the answers correlating to that scenario. I do want to stress, do not, you know, think you have to do this on your own. We're always here. I do want to say, like, in your test booklet, the 6744, if you want to write the answers down, and you guys can check with Dallas, or you can contact Sharon or myself here before you actually go in and take the test to see, you know, we'll go over the answers and say, hey, maybe you need to take a look at question 15 and 20. That means you should probably go take a closer look. If you at that point still don't understand, we can then like go to this specific page and say, hey, you know, this was what it correlates to, this is what it means, and then have you go from there and answer it. Okay. Like I said, basic is a lot easier than advanced, so I don't see too many issues as far as that goes. So for returning preparers, Sharon and I have like done a little bit of updating on the new tax laws. This is more relevant for you, Dallas. If not, I would still suggest to read these because a lot of these will correlate to what you're learning in your basic return. And it'll help. There's, I think, 3 pages. And we'll update those as they change.
Okay.
So our practice labs can be found on our site. If you click on piece of site right here, it will open it up for you directly to our training program. And it will explain down here, training schedule, training materials, if you click on training materials and scroll down, you can find all of our practice labs, and they're just right there in case you want to go through and maybe try it again. They're right here for you for basic. Today, we're going to be doing practice lab A. For those of you who are here, we have it printed out for you. So this is just a chart to say who can file, who needs to file, how much income you need to make to file. We do suggest you file anyways, even if you make under this, because you may be eligible for credits in the state that you aren't aware of. And sometimes, honestly, you may even still get some money back federally or get a credit federally that you like a renter's credit or something that you just aren't aware of. Next is the determination decision tree. This is how you determine if how they need to file. Head of household, single, married, filing jointly. It's yes, no. You just read the question. If it says no, you follow the arrow no. If you know it's a yes, you follow it to yes. So, but there is an exclusion that we will go over on head of household here in a second. That you do need to be aware of. So head of household, a single individual depends under the age of 17. Technically, it is 16. So if you are 17, you automatically lose the child tax credit. You can still claim a head of household. You just lose the child tax credit and it becomes what's called an other dependent credit, which is only 500 instead of the 2,000. There is an exception, like I had noted, if the dependent is a full-time student in college, a university, disabled, or you support them more than 50%. You must meet the requirements of head of household, which is an immediate family member, foster child that's considered. But it can't be like your neighbor's kid. You can't claim your neighbor's kid.
This means the exceptions is because the individual is over 17?
Yes. Yep.
Over 16.
It's technically over 16.
17 and over.
Yeah.
17 and over.
But you lose the credit. Once your child hits 17 within the tax year, you lose the credit. You lose the child tax credit. So like my daughter's turning 16 this year. So I'll be able to claim on 2024 taxes, the child tax credit. But for 2025 tax year, I won't get the child tax credit for her, even though she's still considered a high school student at that point. A married couple, so this is the biggest one that here at Peace and at NITA, you need to be aware of. A married couple who has been filing and living together during the current tax year does not qualify as head of household, even if they're filing separately. They're married. They do not have a legal decree separating them or having them divorced. They have to file either or. There is that exception for head of household. So there's a lot of like married couples whose spouse just took off on them and they have no idea where they are, or their spouse is incarcerated. They are allowing mothers or fathers, depending on the situation, if the other parent didn't live in the home for more than 6 months of the year, they're allowing them to claim head of household if they have dependents under that 17 credit, or that they meet that fully disabled limitation for a dependent. It must be like their child to be able to do that. If they don't have a dependent that they're claiming, they have to do that married filing separately. I'm sure Dallas will go over that a little bit more with you guys, and have like maybe a cheat sheet or something for you. If there is no qualifying dependents, the taxpayer cannot claim head of household. A person cannot claim themselves as head of household either. If you're single, you can't claim head of household. You're just single. You have to have a dependent or qualifying dependent that meets that qualifying. Oh yeah, and people try to claim their spouse as well as head of household. Your spouse is a spouse. If you're married, you're married. That whether they work or not, just because you're supporting them does not make you qualify for head of household. You're married. Under the laws and terms of the IRS in New York State, you're not head of household.
No, we're saying a married couple.
Married couples.
Husband and wife. You cannot claim your wife or husband as your dependent. They are your spouse. A spouse is a spouse.
A spouse, yeah.
Whether they work outside, so say, well, I'm supporting her because she doesn't work outside at home. Still a spouse, doesn't matter. You're equal.
This will help with filing status. Again, it's a yes, no. If it's yes, you just follow where to go to step 2. If it's no, you go directly to step 4 and just go from there. This is the children and other dependent. It explains like how much, if you have earned income over the 3,100, or if they're blind or married and dependents, it just basically shows you what taxable interest and stuff you can get based off from your income and the amount of dependencies that you have. Age and disability does matter, believe it or not. 65 and older gets more money back in their taxes, especially if they're disabled. If they are blind at any age, you get an extra credit for being blind, legally blind. So if you have a doctor that says you're legally blind, then yep, you're good. Same with your kids. If they're disabled or legally blind, we do need to know that. This is a dependent, what qualifies the dependent as a person, and that can be on your tax return. So what's next? Additional practice labs are located on our website, which I showed you. You can run through themselves. There's also the main ones in your test booklet that you'll also be doing. So this is going to get you a little prepared for that. You can visit our site or work on them at home. It's completely up to you. It's open book. At least here, I'm not sure at NITA. We have dual monitors. You guys have dual.
Well, yeah, we've got our laptop and then we have like a secondary monitor.
Okay, yeah, we have dual monitors here. So it's really easy just to cross-reference the two. You need to take your certification standard to contact, the interview and intake, and then your basic certification, which you need to then print out and give to your site coordinator. You need to contact the VITA site where you plan to volunteer, schedule your hours and days, get specifics for that location. I know here at Peace, we don't really require you to be like, hey, I'm coming in this day and what time. We do require though that you do at least 10 tax returns outside of your own or your family's. So if you're gonna volunteer for peace and do taxes, you do require at least 10 tax returns. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, we're gonna go to that link learn taxes certification. If you can go ahead and go there for me, I'm actually, yeah, make sure if you're already logged in, at least through, earlier, you're not logged in now. I'm just trying to get it back. So it's that link learn taxes certification.com. Are you there?
I'm there. Yep.
Perfect. And then if you go under quick links here, you'll see practice lab. You're gonna go in there. And then it's in all cap, it's Train Pro Web. So it didn't change from last year. It's
All capital Train Pro what?
web. Yep, like train, like choo-choo train.
Well,
Mm-hmm, web.
yeah.
Mhm. You'll always need to put that in, just so you guys know to get Train Pro Web, all in caps. All one, yep. So it should bring you into the sign in right here. Everybody at the sign in. So for you ladies, you're gonna have to go ahead and create an account. It's actually a lot simpler than before. That password needs to be 12 to 15 characters long, one uppercase, one number, and one special character, just so you're aware. It's ridiculous. You did that the last
And I wrote down same one.
same one. So you don't have to create the account. You're just gonna go ahead and sign in.
If I don't remember mine from last year, should I just go and create a new one or should I just reset the password?
If you remember your username, use your username and then do forgot password.
Okay.
But if not, I mean, you can always just do a new one. But they're requiring a really long password this year. I recommend writing it down or because it's that long. Oh, and your username, if it comes up red, that's because somebody somewhere in the United States has it. So you gotta put like a number or something at the end of it. Because VITA is obviously nation, not just here in New York, so. I'm gonna go ahead and sign in.
Now at home, you can follow the same steps and get into this
Mhm.
same location.
Yep. They do. I think it's because the software already got spammed this year. And it was shut down for almost 2 weeks while they corrected everything. So they want to make sure that passwords are, really long and something unique to avoid any like personal information being stolen. If you're gonna remember it, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
As long as it uses the same letters. What's the program site?
You shouldn't be in that.
No, is this saying it's asking me right?
Oh,
Okay, go ahead now. The computer stuff and be able to keep it spread slow and not be very sense, which is very helpful because. Yeah, we got the side of you. Whatnot, there's part of the word. You don't make that right.
I don't know, English people, I guess, do.
And you're using, certainly harder for Americans, I guess. Because yeah. Oh, that, oh, okay, sorry, I forgot the word.
I just saw red.
Available.
Yes.
Brittany, now, if the home, would we start off with the same thing that you did? Saying train web pro?
Train
Train
Pro Web, yes. You always, when you go into your practice lab, when you click that under quick links, hit practice lab, you always have to put Train Pro Web in all caps. Every single time. Perfect.
So what's this say?
You don't need that. Just VITA under the program. Which I forgot they asked. She kindly reminded me. So VITA is gonna be your program that you're gonna put in the drop-in. You don't need a site identification number when you create this. If anything comes up red, that means either the username is taken by somebody else and you're gonna have to put like another number, character, or change it. Or something's missing or doesn't match. All right, so we should be on this page right here. You should just gonna go ahead and go to practice area.
Like this area.
Yep, go to practice area. This should pop up.
Mhm.
This is what tax layer will look like for you guys when you come in. This is exactly what it's gonna look like. Other, like for Dallas, myself, Sharon, Ralph, we have like 6 other lines, but for you guys, this is what you're gonna be mostly seeing as volunteers. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do practice A basic. We need this here to get this started. So all of this, I do want to say, is fictitious. None of the social security numbers and or scenarios are real in any way. This is all for training purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and read the scenario, and then we'll get going here. So Susan Harris works at a law office as accounts receivable staff. She lives with her older dependent brother, Oliver, who is disabled and not able to take care of himself. Her brother receives supplemental Social Security income of $350 each month. Susan pays her neighbor to take care of him while she is working. She included the letter from her neighbor stating that she paid $14,400 for the year. Her neighbor's Social Security number is provided. Susan's tax invoice for her home is provided as well with the STAR savings credit. Susan does have an federal identification PIN, which she does need for e-filing purposes. Susan has provided a bank account with routing and account numbers for her savings account for direct deposit and a valid license ID. She also provided a statement from her win-loss for the casino, which we will respond to in a little bit if there's questions. So what we're gonna do right now is, because this is all fictitious, we're gonna go ahead and start a new 2023 tax return. And you guys are gonna make up a social security number. Try to use as many zeros as possible, only because I know that like people don't have something like 9000000 as a real social security number. Nope, that is because,
Children.
nope, that's the provider social security number.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. I have to actually like think of one, so okay.
She's not going to practice. You could also do, if you go to their W-2 in there, you could do 000. Go to the W-2, yep, the last 4 are there.
No,
The
it's
10.
not on
Oh,
this.
not this one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought it was around the 10.
No.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes you can, the fictitious ones are in there, we got to XX.
So in your practice labs, like the actual test booklet, there's actual social security numbers associated with each person. It has like, you're actually gonna put those in and not make anything up. But for our case, because it's all fake and we don't have that ability like the IRS does. You just have to make them up unless like here, it's clearly fake and it was provided, then we will follow that. You're gonna hit start return. All right. So filing status, we know that she is fully taking care of her brother who, although is over 17, he's I think 47 in this scenario. He is fully disabled. So we're gonna go ahead, she qualifies for head of household. We're gonna hit continue again because of that disability requirement. You're gonna go ahead, this is basic data entry. If you flip the page, you're gonna see all her information on that 131614-C. You're just gonna follow it, like her name, her birthday, her phone number. So it's gonna be Susan, if I can type. Here.
Basically, how you're doing data entry.
Literally. Data entry is a lot of the work.
The nice thing is that they do sign that back of the yellow form that we talked about to carry over, and they were here last year, you put their social security number, it'll bring all their information forward, and you won't have to retype everything.
Once you get to occupation, just go ahead and hold there for a second.
Yeah, it'll be on the yellow form, it's number 4. So your yellow form is where you get all their. It's not yellow, but in here, but it's all their stuff in there. And we always suggest, before you start a tax return, take that folder that's been given to you, look
It
this,
over, yeah.
see if you're missing anything. Say, oh, yep, the W-2's here, they said they have a 1099-R, if that's here, make sure all their date of birth, social security information is off of it. And also that way you get,
Used to reading it.
you get familiar with that folder of that person before you start this. And then that way you don't like forget something or you go back. And one of my little rules that I do for myself is as I'm doing them, I check off my, okay, did that W-2.
You'll notice I have a little checklist as well of what we're gonna be doing today. So that's what I do too.
Yeah, and remember, all these are copies and they're ours, so you like, check, I got that, you know, and I like, I do it with them, she's like. I'm gonna come to the W-2, oh, I entered the W-2. Yep. Oh, they had, and then, childcare stuff. It's just so you know what, I put that in.
So now that we're at the occupation there, it says, if you look on that, like, if you go and flip it one more page on the back, you're gonna see like a bunch of related questions. It's gonna say right there, the presidential election fund, if you want to donate. And it looks like she does. So what I want to show you is right here, if they want to donate, it's going to be right under that occupation. And you're just going to click the box to taxpayer wishes to contribute $3 to the presidential election fund. Because she has noted on that yellow form. So the next page on the back,
So it's part of your yellow form.
look on the back. Yeah, flip it one more.
Oh, there.
Actually flip it.
Right.
Yeah,
It says you want-
in toto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is obnoxious that they put that question at the very end.
and
Like,
yeah,
it's the only thing that we need that's not in here.
so let's say like I completely forgot to do that. You can always go back into the basic information and click it because Dallas is right. They put it at the very end. And you're not gonna see that. You can always get back to and edit any information that you put in.
But that's why it's good to look at the folder and get yourself familiar with it before you start the tax return.
Mm-hmm. So once you click that box, the taxpayer wishes to contribute, you can just finish the address and stuff.
What we put for transportation?
It says it right there.
Everything that you need that should go in this basic information is on that front page of the yellow form and stuff that. Presidential.
Number 5 is
Right, yep. Yep, they have it on that yellow form. That's why it's so important for the intake person. They're the one that really does a lot of work. Because they're the one that's filling all this information out and making sure all their I's are dotted and T's are
And
crossed.
East Syracuse is actually 13205, not 13206, or 13205.
I mean, again, these are all made up scenarios. So, you know, whether it's right or not on that one, on the region, but, your intake worker, if they get all that, all
Yeah.
that information.
Or
taken care of,
1307.
East Syracuse 13057.
Oh, 57. Oh, 57.
If the intake person gets all this stuff and information, it makes your life
There we
so
go.
much
East
easier.
Syracuse.
You're not calling somebody and looking for more information. But things do slip through, so.
Is East Syracuse from the 1,000?
It is.
So in your folders this year, remember that intake, supplemental intake? There is a place on the supplemental intake this year that says county school district. And the reason why we did that is because we do give priority over Onondaga County, but you could have a situation where somebody comes in. And is in the Oswego County, or even if it's Onondaga County, there's things that their address is Syracuse, but they may be North Syracuse. Or Saul Bay School District, or this DeWitt might be, Janesville DeWitt, or it might be
Yeah.
Nottingham. So I'm in this form right there.
Excellent. Yep. I don't think we have a version of that.
So let me know when you guys
No,
have the
no,
address and the
it's-
phone number and stuff put in for me so we can continue.
Yeah, some of those school districts are a little
Wonky.
around, so it's hard to.
Like my dad is technically considered his Syracuse address, but his school district is still West Jenny.
So that's something new I added this year because. It makes our life easier.
I don't know.
We were literally Googling school districts and it took an extra time.
The phone numbers on here, it's the best contact number next to her last name.
Right, but is as for a secondary.
If there isn't
Oh,
one,
right.
You
nothing.
don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not answered.
If there's an email provided, you'll see that in line 12. You're just gonna put it in primary client email. I do ask not to send an invite to the customer portal. Only because they'll think that you're e-filing it when you send their return to them at the end. And I need them to come in, go over with it and sign before I can e-file anything. So I prefer not to have anything done through the customer portal.
So a lot of clients will not put an email address on the yellow form, the IRS form. But they'll put it on that supplemental form. Do not use the supplemental
Mhm.
form email, put on that, because they purposely didn't want the IRS to have probably their
Their email.
email. But they put it on that supplemental because then it's for us, you know, that's.
And they'll
that's
get
so-
like things
Okay.
from
So
Peace
don't
if they
use
want
that.
help
Don't
or
steal that
Nita.
information from the other.
Go ahead and hit continue for me.
All right, so for this address, how should?
Oh, they fixed it.
Will.
I like this. They fixed it.
It's just.
Sharon, look,
They fixed
I
it?
wasn't-
they fixed it.
Okay, so great, this is fixed. They've been updating, so this is a new vendor this year for this practice lab. And there's been a lot of things that have not correlated to how they used to be.
So we're
So-
Onondaga County.
So this is nice. But then Onondaga County.
And then the school district for this is East Syracuse Manoa because we know she's in East Syracuse. You can put E in there and I believe it's still under East Syracuse Manoa. There we go. And then we'll hit continue.
How do we know what the CDC code is for?
So
Don't
you
worry.
don't, I don't know the code. You don't need the code. We just need to know the district.
It'll, I mean, we gotta drop that in.
It will.
Yeah, all right.
So I don't know I mean, I'm sure I could get them printed off and have our main codes somewhere and do like a cheat sheet.
Remember, filling out taxes, there was always something where you could look up the code.
Yeah, they just want either or, the code or what the drop down for the school. They'll automatically see it and have the code for it. Like I know the city of Syracuse, if it's the city of Syracuse, it's 631 because that's the most popular that we do here. But I don't know, like, off the top of my head, what anyone else's is.
It'll generate.
So put in code.
You don't have to worry, you just put the school district, it'll take it forward, when you go to the state.
It'll put it
it'll-
automatically in
it'll-
there.
It'll transfer over, it'll generate it in the back end.
So we do have a dependent, so we're gonna go ahead and hit yes, and then continue again. A lot of things are continue, continue back, edit, begin. You're gonna notice there's a theme behind that. So it's Oliver. It's based, you're just gonna do data entry. The one thing I do wanna mention is specifically, sometimes spouses have this different last names, but sometimes, especially if there's like a head of household situation, there might be multiple children on there and some of them may not have the same last name. So just make sure you check the last name.
They do not use the autofill.
Yeah, don't use the auto generation as a full reliance.
We tried to throw things in here that were realistic, but made up for this.
So we make up another social security number.
No, it's on the front.
Oliver's is not on the
Oh,
front.
not.
Nope, you'll make up another one for
Oh,
Oliver.
sorry.
Yeah, oh, they only provided the daycare provider or the person that watches him.
Sorry, I thought I put it down there.
He wasn't, so down here. You notice there's like a bunch of like answers, they have, their boxes they have to answer. Next to Oliver's name. So we know that she marked yes and E for a US citizen. We know that the relationship to her in box C is her brother, so you drop down and just find brother. Then if you look at the next box, which is D, it says 12, which is 12 months he lived with her, so we're gonna keep that the same. Now, when I had mentioned that we needed to know if the person was, if a dependent was disabled, it's important because if you look right under check all that apply, you have to check that this person was fully disabled. Now, let's say like Oliver was 19 and he was in college, we have a 1098T for him. Instead of clicking, that you would say this person is over 18 and in an eligible institution like college. But in this case scenario, he's just disabled. The other thing that I want to mention is if it says full-time student last year and we know that like they're 6 or 7 and it says yes, change that to no. It's only for college purposes. Because then if they're like 19 and we see yes and they don't have a 1098T, that prompts us to question where's that college form. Okay. Now that we're all done, you're gonna hit continue.
And Oliver had no.
He had no, so social security disability is not taxable and not considered income. So if somebody comes in with like death benefits from social security or their child receives social security being disabled, that doesn't go on a tax return, even though they may receive one. Their children's information only like the primary taxpayer, if it's not disability or.
For regular social security.
Yes, only if. So regular social security is taxable if you have a job, you and your spouse maybe work part-time and you make over $20,000 for that year, then your social security starts being taxed after that. But if you make under 20,000, it is not.
So is this, the $350 a month, is that not taxable because it's supplemental social?
It's
Security?
disability, yep,
And supplemental is never taxable?
nope. SSI is not, SSA is. So regular social security, which you would get when you like are 62, is a social security is not. Like SSI disability payments. So we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. And then because we don't have anything, again, we're gonna hit continue. But if you noticed, on here in the beginning, it said Susan had a federal identification PIN. So the last one right here, it says IRS identity protection PIN. We're gonna hit begin. And you're only gonna put that ID PIN under Susan because Oliver does not have one. She cannot file without this, by the way. The state will go through, but the federal government will not. It'll automatically reject the return. And we'll know that within like 20 minutes usually. We'll get a notification in our system that it was rejected and why. 646-234. It's the federal
For,
Susan. Yep. So it's 646-234. We're gonna go ahead after we put it in. We're gonna hit continue again and then continue. It's a continuing process. So we're at the front. So what I typically do now that we're done with this, the first page of the yellow form, the 13164C, we're gonna flip the page and we're gonna go and make sure that all of our boxes are checked yes and no, including the next page. But for this case, if you look at part 5, it has unsure here. So this is where you need to know what kind of forms they have. So we know she doesn't have the health savings code because she doesn't have an HSA. That would be in an advanced and we're in basic right now. So what you would do as the preparer is check no. The other way that you can tell is on the W-2 in box 12, it would have like a little letter that states W. If you see a letter in here that has W, that's an automatic prompt that there's an HSA with this tax return, and that makes it not a basic return. So we know that she does not have, honey, she has student loan interest, but it was not forgiven, so she does not have a 1099-C. So we're gonna go ahead and say no.
Oh, some of those things weren't filled out?
It was unsure. You gotta change them to no.
Ah, that's good then.
Adopt a child, no, we have to change it to no. So anything that does not, so the American Opportunity Credit and Child Tax Credit and Earned Income Credit, it's disallowed. We know that she did not have it disallowed, so we're gonna go say no. Basically, all the rest of these questions are no. She doesn't, she has employer health insurance. We know that she didn't have a capital loss, which is a capital gain from the previous year. I mean, she lost a bunch of money and that she's having it spread out evenly throughout the year so she doesn't get a huge hit.
Okay.
Doing it, how we know it's all wrong.
You
They-
basically have to call the client.
Yeah.
They may not even know, and you're just gonna have to go based off from their information that they provided you that year. See if they have a capital gains or a broker, a 1099-B. If they do, then you need to ask them, they should bring their previous year's tax return. If they didn't, you need to ask them to provide that. So we can at least look and see if there was a carryover. They'll tell us in their tax return for the following year.
That's not standard procedure, so the intake person wouldn't have got the previous year's tax.
No, that is standard procedure.
We tell, that's part of our phone spiel. We tell them to bring in the previous years. If it's somebody who had their taxes done here, we don't really need it because obviously we already have it. But, if it's somebody brand new and they have all kinds of junky stuff, you know, on their tax return, it's easier for us to see, oh, you had this last year. How come you don't have it with you now? Oh, you had Social Security. you need to bring in social security in this year too, so it helps us.
So all of part 5 should be just
Repeating
changed to
person?
now.
Can you look it up?
Yeah, I said we already have it in our system. If they are repeating to us, not another site right now, but if they're repeating to us, it's gonna be on the computer. We can actually drop down and look at other stuff. As a volunteer, most volunteers can't look at previous years. We can only do this.
So we'll
current
just
year.
print it out.
So we can print it out for you. Any of our quality reviewers are able to pull those up, like, Brittany and Joy, myself, Ralph, Dallas, you didn't have last year, but you had the previous years, the 2021. So, anybody who's here at a certain level can pull that information up.
And Taisha on
And
Saturdays.
Taisha, oh yeah, Taisha on Saturdays.
So we're gonna go ahead and start, now that we're at the income and we changed everything that we needed to do, we're gonna go to that W-2 page. Okay. So you'll see right at the top, it says wage and statement to form W-2, you're gonna hit begin. And we're gonna go ahead, and the EIN is in box B, it is provided on the W-2. This is data entry, just go ahead and fill that in. So remember how I said it auto pops? So this identification number is apparently the state of Oregon unemployment, which we know for this W-2 it is not. So you're gonna go ahead and highlight it and manually change it. So it's.
Remember, we added fictitious information, so it does.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to change the address as well. Cause this is like made up, so unfortunately, sometimes like the EINs are from somewhere.
Happen to be.
Yeah. Which is all like, you can just look it up on the computer and get an employer's identification number, but for our case, we need it to be in New York.
Yeah, we have to follow, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we looking at the W2 Stanley Law Office?
Yep.
Yep, you're entering that information. Always double check.
Next thing is the 2G.
Right, so let's follow what we got on that one, so we're starting there. The 2G is a different thing. So we just need to really double check, because it will try to autofill things like that last name.
This is more of a like, pay attention, because it does autofill
Yeah.
type thing. And you're literally gonna follow box by box. Like box 1 goes in box 1, box 2. And that's where I'm gonna hold after putting box 2 in.
Okay, so now you said we can change this where it says state of Oregon.
You need to
Mhm.
match this. Sometimes it will autofill, but it's autofilling when we made fictitious information, because we made up a fictitious number and everything, it's defaulting to what it knows. So we need to make sure that what is in there matches this.
Yep. When you get in once you put box 2 in, let me know the federal tax withheld. Oh, you're okay. Oh, that's fine, but
Oh,
No, that's fine. yeah, all I just want to make sure is that you pay attention to box 3 and 5 because the numbers are different.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to state that only because guess what? It autofilled it all.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so make sure, because like sometimes, somebody may get something pre-tax, like I have my health insurance pre-taxed and stuff like that, so that changes your social security and all, it changes some of your numbers.
it does. So,
But it goes on based on what you think you should have paid.
So-
Not, not based on like your health insurance.
so you're just gonna follow like 12 is like code D, put the amount in, and then you're gonna do DD and put the amount in. It's standard, just like follow the boxes and what they say. There's a retirement plan on page 13, on box 13. So box 14, that New York SDI, just so you guys know, is actually New York non-occupancy disability fund. SDI is non-occupancy disability fund, so that'll be 31. And then, if there is no code, like the NYPFL, New York Paid Family Leave, it's other, so that would go under like other. Cause I don't think we have a New York Paid Family Leave on here, so it would definitely go under other. Let's say there's another one on there, that there's another code in box 14 and it would fall under the other category, you would add the two together and then put it under the same one, because they don't allow two others to go through on the tax return.
So for 14, you want us to put other.
So the first one should, the SDI,
Yeah, it's that New
Yeah.
York, make sure you get New York, and it's the non-something disability. So
yeah,
what we're gonna do is by our computers,
Non-occupancy.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, make sure you pick up. the
Mhm.
computer. Yep,
and then the other one is other.
other. So what we're gonna do on our computers, and I'll provide one for you, Dallas, to put on yours when people are doing it, little cheat codes, with that, yeah.
Yeah, because if
But-
I knew that was like, I would not have assumed that was what I
No,
was supposed to.
So just to let you know, they don't all say that. Some might actually say disability, or you know, I mean, they all have different codes, some of the different.
Yeah,
Like ADP, you know, like the different companies that may have different codes. The other one that's always an other is like the Family Medical Leave Act. New York State hasn't, they won't put it in there for that, so that's always another. Some, they give to United Way.
other, and you have to add like the multiple others together, like
No.
the same as last year.
No, you got New Jersey.
You have to put New York for your state. Just make sure that the EIN is next to in box 15 is correct. Just because you think it's the federal ID, it may not be, because there's like let's say it's like Uber, they're based out of California. They have to, like, even though they have employees here, they have different ID, federal or IDs for each state. It's not always the federal identification. I do know that. There's 1, 2, 6. There's 6 zeros after the one. And then the income tax of 1850. Yeah, it just, there's 6 zeros.
Yeah, the other one I did like, once you have your correct numbers and stuff. like, is it what-
Yeah, New York State, no.
We just put it in on the NYPFL, which is not.
It's
not-
other.
They never put they won't put the code in there.
18, 19, and 20 doesn't have any code, so we skip that, right?
Correct.
They don't have.
If the boxes don't apply, then you just skip
It is
it.
other.
Here.
It's other.
So remember how we said New York City has different applicable taxes for New York State? If they lived in New York City or worked in New York City, that's where New York City would be, their borough and their borough tax and what one it was, like Yonkers or Brooklyn or. So that's what 18, 19, and 20 are for. And you will, see that sometimes. We try to get people to correct their W-2, specifically if they're working, they live here and they're just working through the company, like at a home type, like an office at home type thing. Because they don't live in New York City, they shouldn't be paying borough taxes, considering they don't live there.
And there was that question, do they live in Yonkers and stuff like that, that New York State part? I've had students who come in and they're like, why, nobody done it, because I don't want to pay the extra taxes. Okay, all their W-2s are coming from like Johnson County and stuff like that, like, come on, no, you have to put what you really live.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta pay that. And then once, let me throw that out about a student too. You make sure that they're not being claimed by their parent. I had a lot of students who come in here and try to get claim themselves so they can get all their refunds and stuff like that. It's their parent, you know, like, I had a woman who, a lady who came in, wanted to claim herself. We called her mom and said, let's call your mom. She goes, how do you think you afford to go to college? you know, and their college address is considered a temporary address. It's not, even though they may be gone almost 9 months because they're college and stuff like that.
The only time that that a college student would be considered dependent, like a single person be able to claim themselves, is if they have their own apartment here, they work full-time and they 100, or they support themselves completely, like mom and dad aren't even sending money for National Grid. Like, they have to be completely self-sufficient.
Did you say earlier at the beginning that no one can claim themselves, is it their own dependent?
No, they're filing their own tax return.
Yeah, so let's say like I'm 20. I moved here from Washington State. I have my own apartment. I have my own full-time job. I have my own student loans, not based off my parents because I have my own full-time employment, so my parents can't claim me. That would be considered not being a dependent under your parents because you're supporting yourself more than 50%. Your parents cannot be paying like your National Grid and your food and your phone bill, any of that. You have to be 100%.
Students tax return, they can claim themselves as a dependent?
No.
Get rid of the dependency, sorry. They're not being, most students, college students are claimed as a dependent on a parent's income taxes. However, she's saying she's more than 50% provided for her own self.
Correct.
She can claim herself, nobody else can claim her as a dependent. She's filing a tax return. She's coming in here just like
What difference does that make on the student's tax return?
it makes a huge difference.
They probably
There's
won't.
a checkbox
Mhm.
where you indicate that they are claimed by a dependent on somebody else.
Yes, yeah. But if
Yeah.
they're not, they can do their own tax. It's just like anybody else coming in and getting their tax return.
So there's a lot of people, let's say like they were, what is it, emancipated from home. The parents can't claim you, whether or not that they were emancipated. Like when I became pregnant, I was legally emancipated underneath my parents. My parents are no longer. It would affect both.
of them. It affects both of them because a college student receives a 1098 T from the college of what things. If they're claimed on a tax return for a parent, the
Yes.
parent puts that on their.
They don't get the credit. They don't get a credit. They don't get a standard deduction. It doesn't usually affect a student on federal, though they usually always get money, but New York State, they will owe no matter, they would have to put in extra money each paycheck not to owe. But if they claim themselves, typically as a student, you don't owe in New York State. So it does. There's a lot of credits that are disallowed and not allowed if you're claimed as a dependent or if you claim yourself.
See, my daughter is going to college. She can't claim that 1098 T on. hers
Correct.
to get that.
And that American Opportunity Credit is a large credit. So, all right,
Use the zip code that's on the yellow form or on the WTC.
Use whatever. This is. just for
yeah,
college.
just use whatever, because it's pretend. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on to the W-2 and continue. So I prefer, instead of going up and down, looking, for your next one, which is the W-2G, which would be under other income. But if you go over here to this awesome form finder on the left-hand side and type in W-2G, it will bring it up and you're just going to click on it and it will bring you automatically to where you need to be. This prevents you from searching through the whole program, looking for it specifically if you're not sure what you're looking for. So this is another situation
Yes.
where you're just gonna follow it. So the payer's TIN is the federal identification number. If you're,
We have tons of people coming here.
they're called TINs, EINs, tax IDs. That's usually your employer. So we're gonna go 0618211494. If you click outside, it does bring up Oneida Nations,
So the payer's TIN is the same as.
the employer identity, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey there.
Mm-hmm. Payers 10.
Oh, I see. Yep.
And then you're just gonna fill the boxes in, like gross winnings is box 1. So that gambling losses, remember how she said she provided a statement of gambling losses? If you flip, right behind it, that W-2 or behind it's a little bit mismatched here. If you flip twice, you'll see that gambling losses were provided on the, tax return of 14, she lost 14,350, right? But there's a rule. You can only put the losses up to what you've won. So she can only claim 10,500 in losses. She can't claim the full 14,350. But if they won 10,500 and they bring in a statement that says, they only lost, let's say 5,000, you only put that 5,000. We can't take on their word that they like went somewhere else. They have to bring in proof of losses, and it has to be at the same like gambling casino. It can't be like different multiple casinos.
This type of wager. And that'd be-
On the W.
So gambling losses is gonna be 10,500. She had no taxes withheld. The type of wager was slots. That's a pretty good win on slots. So the date 1 would be in box 2. It's 06/13/2023. You're gonna put New York.
Yeah, it's interesting that they put a specific one date on there when obviously that 10,000 was.
It's remember, it's made up. This is made up.
I just meant, like, would she receive multiple WG pensions? Cause she made up from.
So
Yes,
in
yeah.
the
We
state,
were just trying to, we're just trying to show,
Mhm.
her losses, so, you're just gonna count her losses, I'll be right over there. So remember, this is.
So in the state,
Something, some things. And they
there was
can't-
no taxes withheld, right? I always put New York State, but you don't have to. You can, if it's not provided, you can leave it blank. It'll automatically calculate for New York State. Because that's the state we chose.
This is fictitious, and we just wanted to kind of like make up some things so that, like, if you saw real scenario things. And another thing is, let's say they went to Turning Stone and they have a loss. They have to have a form. It's not like they can tell us what it is. There should be a form that comes from.
Yeah, they can have it printed out.
Yeah.
You have to go there and print it out.
But if I lost money at Yellowstone or whatever, the Yellow Brick.
It would
Road.
have to be like Del Lago.
Yeah, okay, so let's say it's one of the tax plates, or say I go to Turning Stone and I lost money and I get a loss thing, but I won money there too, so I have this W-2G. This W-2G. I use my loss thing on that one, but I also went to Yellowstone and I lost money there and I got my statement. I can't use my Yellowstone against my Turning Stone. It has to be
Yeah, it has to
matched.
be
Something.
at each, like, I know like Yellowstone and what's that other one, like in, Turning Point. The turning,
Are
the,
we sure that we Turning Stone?
no, Point Place. That's what it is.
Well,
Point Place and Yellowstone are owned by the same people. Turning Stone's different. Del Lago's, New York State run. They're not even Indian run. So there's different, you just have to sort of kind of know. So like I said, if New York State isn't up there, you can just leave it blank. It even states to leave it blank. It'll automatically calculate it. So you can go ahead. Now, just so you know, that typically, transaction is in there. The cashier is box 8. That's JWE. Then the windows in there, and there's usually always an ID number that's associated with this, and that's the, cashier's identification through the place. They have like a special pin they put in. And then the second identification number is usually, if it was a large amount and they needed like another person to approve it or something. Sometimes they even put the, person's social security number there. You still have to put it there. If it's on there, you gotta put it.
Back on locality, when it says locality, why it doesn't it pop in Oneida Nations Enterprise?
Because we don't need locality.
Maybe with line?
Yep. You're just gonna go down to, where it says cashier and put JWE in. Locality would be like if you won, money in New York City, so at one of their,
Yeah, the locality thing that would be like from box number 18, not the,
yeah.
Yeah.
the,
If there's nothing in the boxes, you don't put anything. So locality is not important for this scenario because he didn't win money in any of the boroughs in New York City. Cause a lot of like the gas stations and stuff in New York City actually have like slot machines and stuff that you can go in and play. So,
yeah, I stopped at a gas station over the weekend, they have to probably put Stone rewards card, and I was like, why would that matter? They're like, we're owned by Turning Stone. And I look around, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's slot machines in here.
yeah.
They must be on their.
Well, New York now, Del Lago is not Indian run. Del Lago is New York State run.
Yeah.
That's why when you win money at a Indian run casino, they know they have to pay federal taxes, right? But they don't have to pay state taxes. So they like automatically do not withhold. So when you say, oh yeah, withhold taxes, they'll withhold federal, but they won't withhold state.
They have to.
You have to actually state that you want state and federal taxes withheld from your winnings. Where if you win money at Del Lago Casino, they know to pull federal and state because they have to pay both. It's a little bit weirder. So the next thing, has everybody finished putting all this in for the wagers? Okay, we're gonna hit continue. We're gonna hit continue again. So we have a dependent care credit. I like to use the form finder. Yes. I like to use the form finder, but if you click continue and get back to that main page, you're just gonna put dependent. It's child and dependent care expenses, form 2441. So if you put in there in that form finder, form 2441, child and dependent care expenses should pop up. And you're gonna click on it for me. This just prevents a ton of seek and find. Now we know that there is no identification, EIN, based off from the scenario. So you're gonna put social security number. You're gonna click on social security number. And then that person's social was fictitious social was 111001111. Her first name. I'll be right back. You're gonna go into form finder 2441.
You know, because you put in yours, you gotta put the ID here. So, yeah, highlight it. And then just put that number in. Okay, so.
Well, she just gave the number, but you can put childcare or. You can do it that way. but we can, it's a path,
But
but
you get one.
we
And
would
then
put in
it's
child
child
care and it should do it, so let's do that. So.
If it's not. then do that.
I got screens. Oh, here it is. So you can just put in child care and then it comes up with
But
it.
if you put child care or dependent,
It pops
it
up. We just did
automatically
it.
pops up.
Okay.
So if you flip on that next page, right on the next page behind the W2G, it gives you all the information on the childcare provider. Now, we know that Oliver's 47, so you, as a preparer, you need to know that, the different criteria and how you can claim a childcare provider. Typically, a person cannot claim a childcare provider for anybody 12 and older in New York State. New York State deems that age that they can be home for a few hours by themselves.
Thanks.
Yeah, at 12 years old, no,
Oh,
that's
okay.
the exception. If you are disabled and that person needs constant care looking after, you can claim them. That's why she can claim Oliver's care.
Saying, even if your child is not disabled, but they're under 12, you can
Claim it, but if they're over 12, you cannot do dependent care.
No, no, no.
It's a little crazy. You can't even get financial aid. You can't even, you would have to find like a home provider that will allow 12 or older
So it's
in their
child is considered,
facility.
where the dependent is somebody who's older, but.
So go ahead and fill that information out.
Correct.
Correct. So you're gonna see that right here.
Yeah.
You're gonna switch it.
Someone with a young child, having childcare to it. They could-
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
If you pay, let's say like you don't have a universal pre-K program and you pay for pre-K, you can use that on your tax because it's they don't consider though, like if you pay for it through like a church or something, like 2 days a week or whatever, they consider that like basic daycare. They don't consider that pre-K.
So the employer ID number is her.
Correct. So you're gonna switch it to Social Security, SSN.
It's the provider. That's the business. Most, yeah, cause like, so a lot of people who are employed by themselves, I mean, childcare solutions, they use their social security numbers. Like their business.
Always put the provider's phone number in there. They do want that, and it will ding you in our software when you're actually doing a tax return. I'll let you guys, let me know when you guys have filled that all out for me. Huh? I'll show.
No,
Yeah, she just wanted to do with the main stuff, she'll go over.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So you'll notice that it says the provider is tax exempt. We will know if they're tax exempt because they will bring in a tax exempt form with them. If you clicked on it and they are, when you hit continue, it would ask for the tax exempt number.
So like my kids used to go to a daycare center at a church.
Yeah, they're tax exempt. The provider is my household employee. So basically, if you run a daycare, but you're using your employee as it, they're not gonna let you claim that credit. I was living abroad and used a foreign care provider. I've never actually seen this one. So I would have to do a little research on this. I've never actually had like for a VITA program, somebody have a nanny in a foreign country. So I'm not entirely sure. So we're gonna go ahead and click continue at the bottom. So it says dependents. You're gonna click all the dependents that you paid for this. So it's Oliver. And you're gonna put that 14,400 there.
Oh, how much it is? Yeah, it's just made up scenario.
Even though childcare really is expensive, I'm gonna be honest. Since we don't have any other dependents or any other qualified dependents or anybody that's on the tax return that she didn't pay for, we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. And we should be out of that, and you can hit continue again. Our next page is, the 10, oh wait, I'm sorry, we have to answer childcare questions. I apologize. Did you receive any dependent care benefits from your employer stated, that is not reported on your W-2? So,
Did you do the recipients of care from Bambusha thing?
what?
It says,
Oh, it just wants to know which of your dependents were.
So Oliver, you click Oliver,
oh,
and then you would put the 14.4. Usually this was, last year, this was right underneath it. They did a little revamping this year.
Where's those questions from?
You have to hit continue,
Oh, okay. that's-
continue, and then this should come up. Yep. Did you receive any dependent care benefits from your employer that are not reported on your W-2? That's a no, she didn't receive any. Disabled or full-time student exception where you or your spouse unable to work. So this isn't about Oliver, it's about her, so that's a no. Delayed care payments, so if she paid, let's say like she owed from 2022, like, let's say she owed December, but paid it like in February, that would be a yes, and then you would just put how much she paid extra, but this is a no. So all the questions should be no in this scenario, and you're just gonna hit continue.
Yeah, they didn't give me those questions.
You gotta do one more continue.
If you take me back to you, oh, hold on.
You didn't do continue yet. One more.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Got to like takes you out completely. of the
Yes.
norm, and then you have it. What an interesting.
We're not
choice.
saying that it's not.
Yes,
What an interesting
it's a
design choice.
little bit different from last year if you're returning. It's a little different. So it breaks it down here. So she had $0 for employer pay benefits. Her eligible expenses is $3,000. So they gave her a tax credit of $660. So that's before we even get to a tax return, they're already telling you how much of a credit she's receiving for that dependent care, which is new this year, which is nice. So we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. So the next form that we have is gonna be your mortgage interest. You're gonna go to this form finder and just type in 1098 for me. And you're gonna see form 1098 mortgage interest statement, and you're gonna click on that for me. This also looks a little bit different than last year, just so for returning preparers, you know that. It said, did you receive a form? We know that we did. The only thing that I'm asking you to do is go ahead and hit yes, and then continue. This is new. It says, before we begin, was this money from this loan used exclusively on this home? Yes or no? And it explains. If the address here doesn't match their address provided, it's automatically no, because that's usually a rental property and we don't do rental properties. So it has to match her address at home. It does here, so we're gonna put yes.
Just let me real quick say, the only thing of rental we ever do is if somebody's renting a room in their house or something like that, but if they don't reside at where they're renting, then we cannot do that. Like, I have a roommate, I'm renting a room in the house.
are you saying that's in advance or?
That
That's
is-
totally advanced, yeah.
But we don't do rental properties, so if somebody hands you a 1098 mortgage interest statement and it's not their home address, It's automatically a no, and that prompts us to be like, oh, we can't do your taxes, because we know they're gonna have rental property income associated with that
Yeah.
tax.
Say they have a duplex.
You don't do it at all?
No.
It's out of, it's considered, no, it's considered out of scope for us. We're only allowed to do certain things, and that's considered what they call out of scope. So like if they come in with 1098 and say, oh yeah, well, this is my house, but these are two I rent out.
Like, no Airbnbs, none of that, like, no rental property, they're putting a huge limitation this year. It's out of scope, and the problem is like, if the IRS wants to get finicky about it, they can take points off your site for doing things out of scope. Especially if it's not like an employee or a volunteer, if it's not their tax return, it's a community-based tax
Mhm.
return, they can take points off your VITA site. So you're gonna go ahead and fill it out box by box. So box 1 is 5800. The lender's name obviously is first. That's US Bank NA. Box 2 is the 98,480. We don't know the origin date when she purchased the home. So points on the principal 2300. So we know that the property securing mortgage is the same as the payer, so we're gonna click that box 7. So we don't have to do anything in 8, because that would be for like, if it was a rental property. Box 7, don't do anything in 8. And then you'll see that, we have property taxes here. So we're gonna go in box 10 there and hit real estate taxes. That's where the real estate taxes is this year, Dallas. Instead of like having that like little before you put the 1098 in, remember that box?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's
didn't have a lot of-
actually on the form now. You have to click the property taxes and put it right there. It's just a little bit different.
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of things forms last year, we did a lot of that things,
Yeah.
but that is good.
So it's gonna be the 5,600 of taxes goes there. Let me know when you guys have finished and I can continue.
And this, the address is the same as the
Yeah.
one on here.
Yep, so you don't have to do 8 at all,
It's only
because we
if it's
click
different.
only if it's different.
Okay. No, the more, it's all in there.
I don't think
Well,
it's
yeah,
on
this
the
is
form.
made up, but
Yeah, this is all made up.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
usually there would be a form,
Yeah.
date on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Quick question about,
because we didn't know that was something they were asking this year when we were making up these forms.
question about box number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Where did you get that she had paid? I did not, she paid in, real estate taxes?
It says it on this 10.
Yeah, it says property taxes right here on the 1098.
The-
Where the computer doesn't go.
It goes under,
Box 10, huh? It should, the property taxes should be under 10,
Oh,
other.
I didn't see the road.
okay.
Yeah.
okay. You got it. ahead of us.
Oh. I conflated the two forms. That's right, I started it.
No.
And then when I came back, I was in a different tenant. Check the box. I was like, oh, it's super weird, it's blank there. That makes sense.
The date's not required of acquisition, right?
No,
No, but I think it will be on the new forms that come out. It's just, we did this form before we knew that was something, a question was gonna be asked.
not even, some of these that are filled in here are not.
Yeah.
Things that like, some people can't pay extra like mortgage payments, which would be points towards their principal. In this case, she was able to maybe make a half payment towards the principal on with her regular payment. If you pay off your home loan earlier, it's less, less.
It'll just be, we're just making information for you.
Oh, if you pay towards the principal, I don't know if
They
I
may not
don't,
do anything because you're not. paying
Yeah.
interest, So.
you're not paying a ton of interest, so I don't think it's really gonna do anything as far as this person goes.
It's still the same number that they report that you put.
Yeah, anything that is put in these boxes has to be reported correctly in the tax return because it's reported to the IRS this way. So whether it's applicable or not to us, or whether it is to them, it's still reported to the IRS this way, so it has to. Now, the thing is 1098 mortgage interest statements don't even have to be put in on the schedule, what's called the Schedule A. We put them in because if the taxpayer doesn't see that you put it in, they get really upset that you didn't, because they're used to the old way, long form, instead of taking their standard deduction. So we do it as more of a comfort than anything.
And sometimes there are some things later that will qualify
But,
for them for New
yeah,
York State.
New York State. So it has to be in on the federal side in order to qualify for the state side. So once that's in, you're gonna go ahead and hit continue for me. We're gonna hit continue again. So if you look on the back of, that 1098,
You come up with, you came up with a different page.
Hold on a second, hold on.
I don't know what it says.
Hold on.
we're gonna hit continue again. We're gonna go out to deductions. You should be on the deductions page. You'll see that first one right there, adjustments, and it says student loan interest. But let's say you like go too far or you just aren't seeing it, you can use that form finder again and do 1098 dash E. But because under deductions, it's that first one, we're gonna go ahead and hit begin.
You got logged out.
And then you're just gonna scroll down to student loan interest. It's the second one from the bottom. And we're gonna begin it. So if you want, you can hit in the form finder 1098 E and it'll bring it automatically to student loan interest deduction.
That's weird. Like the student loan interest deduction, but it's online, it only asks for how much was it?
Yeah.
On any of the other.
No, because most of the student loans that you get are federally funded anyways. So they already have from the US education, everything goes through them anyway. Yeah. The only time that I would assume they would need more information would be like if you took private loans, like through a bank or something. But even then, they have that information and they can look if you were a student and how much you had drawn anyways, because you're doing the 1098T.
Oh,
Y-
that-
y-
okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like they already sort of kind of have it. They're just verifying, I
And
guess.
She is not still in college, she just still has to go. to
Yeah,
college.
yep,
So, you know,
yep.
So she doesn't have a 1098 anymore, but she would.
Yeah. So like, let's say like you already graduated with your bachelor's and now you're paying your loans. They have all that information because it gets sold to the federal US government typically anyways, because it's lower interest and stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. So just for like basic, so you're not hitting continue 900 million times. Because we know we've filled out all of our forms pertaining to Susan, we can go to the side here and just automatically hit health insurance. So you're not continuing and hitting continue.
And just hold for a minute.
Yep.
I think continue here, this is when.
So if you go on that side and just click health insurance, it'll bring you to the health insurance page. And I'm going to hold for you guys so you can,
This is the college.
get through. So I'm assuming everybody here knows what the Affordable Care Act insurance is. It's Obamacare marketplace. Most people know it as Obamacare health insurance.
I'd say the main thing that came up as a confusion last year was the marketplace is where you go to get affordable care insurance plan, but
Yeah.
also where you go to get like any insurance plans. Like.
So yeah, if you
you're
don't,
not getting a subsidy, you'd still go through the marketplace unless. you got
Right.
it from your
They're not
employer.
really, yeah, but if Medicare and Medicaid are not considered through the marketplace, even though you have to sign up for some of their things there, they're not paying out of pocket premiums.
so if you're not paying for insurance through your job, or you don't have Medicaid or Medicare or just no insurance at all, but you're paying premiums, so let's say like, I know Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield is on there, or Fidelis is on there, or I don't know some of the other ones.
Like, I think Fidelis might be ACA or Medicaid.
Yeah.
or it might be just
So if-
private.
It's regular. market.
If you don't,
That's what I'm saying.
if you don't pay a premium through the marketplace, then I don't need your insurance. If you pay a premium through the marketplace, I need that 1095A. It's automatically gonna tell us when you send it, oh, this person didn't include their,
That's interesting. I guess I assumed that you'd still get a 1095A. Even if you weren't paying anything.
no, it comes as like a Medicaid, I think it's like a 1099B or
Yeah,
something
if we
like
get B's
that.
and C's if you're employed.
C
about
is,
there.
C is employed, I think B is like Medicaid and Medicare or whatever, showing that you had insurance all 12 months of the year. But that doesn't matter anymore because obviously that was an old tax rule. Yeah. Now I just need the 1095A. So is everybody caught up to this page?
Just give me a second.
You did the 98 too. Oh, great.
Or s-
That's what she said. I don't-
1098E.
You need to do this one first. The student loan interest. You need to put that in there first.
So in that form finder,
Let's make sure it's in there because we've never cut it off the top. You did this thing. You did this one, the mortgage interest.
And I put 2,900 in this one.
Okay, so now.
we're in health
Then,
insurance.
If you scroll down here, scrolling down.
Oh,
It
wait.
says health.
Health insurance. And just click on that.
And we just assume.
That she has,
did- That she.
well, we know she,
Not because of the basic.
So why is the health
Right.
insurance located as a subheading of the
Yeah.
student loan money?
it's
So-
not.
No, you didn't.
You got
Just
into it
scroll down to the bottom where it says health insurance.
Uh-huh.
and you just clicked on it and it automatically brought you there.
You're not.
Yeah. It just basically got you out of that, automatically saved the information and just brought you, so you don't have to click continue through like 5 more pages.
But how would we have known to do that if we were at home? I wouldn't have known.
You're never gonna be on your own because the first few ones we're gonna go walking through you.
But we're done filling out all her forms.
You're gonna know this because of this form here. Because of what that has and because of the tax documents that she brings in and stuff like that.
So once you're done putting in all the tax documents that she brings in, you have everything in there. You have no reason to be in the federal section anymore, in the income section or the deductions or credits. So you're automatically, no, I'm basically A-okay in the federal section. I'm going to the health insurance section now. So just click on the health insurance. She does not have a 1095A. She has employee-based insurance, so we're just gonna say no.
Besides your basic right now, and you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. Part of the reason that there's no 1095A associated with this. So go ahead and hit continue. Now, we are gonna do the star credit in the state section. So New York automatically comes up. So you're gonna edit. And it'll bring you to the main section of the return. Yeah, the little pencil. Yep. We're gonna do itemized deductions. Oh, nope, I lied, credits, specific credits, I'm sorry. You're gonna scroll all the way to the bottom and it's gonna be real property tax relief credit IT 229. That is your star credit, 229, 229, IT 229.
Guess I can try it. If we type in like star,
I don't know if the form finder works for New York.
I was just gonna say when I. tried
If you want
like-
to, just type in IT 229 and it wouldn't.
Yeah, when I try to hover over form finder, this is.
Yeah, you basically need to do this, and this is gonna be a cheat sheet that we're gonna have and we'll give to you as well. The star credit is the real property tax relief credit IT 229. Perfect. So we know that based off from her property taxes that she qualifies. So were you a resident all year? Yes. Did you occupy the same residence for 6 months? Yes. We knew she was a resident all month. Was the property eligible for star credit? We do know that because she got the, I think it was 680 for star, so we're gonna press yes. So this next question is really confusing.
It's got 680 on her.
Star. No,
oh, you did, thank you. So she's gonna be bringing in her
Yep.
2023.
property and
taxes
school.
And our 2024 slash the school year, what do you call it? School and county taxes. That's where you find the star credit.
So this next question right here was any rent you receive for non-residential use or residents 20% or less of the rental income during 2023 is so confusing. There's no rental property on this. So everything that she paid is hers, so you're gonna put yes.
We gotta get enough knowing that the answer is yes now.
Means that you receive the non-residential use,
Rent.
or was it less residency, 20% or less of the rental?
So we don't do rental properties, so I don't know why they're asking that, because it's supposed to be out of scope. But
Yeah.
maybe it's because their software.
No,
Cause if you
Okay,
mark
so-
no, it would be a credit
okay. 'cause
Yeah.
no means you receive
money.
more than 20%.
Yeah. Yep.
So when we do this, if we ever come to this question, the answer is always yes.
Correct.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's out of scope and we shouldn't be doing it.
So resident
But if they
information,
say it's a rental property,
no.
then it's-
No, we have to
Yes, it already-
send them on their way.
So resident information, you're gonna hit begin. So she resided in the property 365 days. They do it by days on the state. Allocation is 100% because it's her home. She paid 5,200 in property taxes, because we know that based off her 1098. Or if it doesn't state on there, she brought in her school and her property taxes, you would just add those. Same with village. If they have village, that's considered property tax too. So if they bring in,
You don't have anything in the adjustments are percentage, right?
what adjustment?
That box.
No,
No. there's nothing.
no. So the star would be the 680. So most people will come in with just property and school. That's fine, just add them up under the property tax. But if they come in with village tax, that goes under there too, so you would add all three, because some people pay village tax. Is, it is. So,
About this question about penalties and interest.
we don't have anything there. She didn't get penalties.
Oh, okay, that's not from your.
Yeah, no, you don't want to put anything there because, she didn't get penalties on, like, she didn't pay late or
She's
anything.
adding the taxes up, right? You're adding them up.
Yeah, so it's 5,200
So this number.
and then 680 on the front because we knew that was the star.
Equal
5,600.
Oh, yeah, it is 5,600, sorry.
It should be.
I didn't look at it. So 5,600. Yep, you're gonna put yes. And then it should be nothing else. You should just be able to continue. It's 5,600, not 52. I apologize.
Okay,
And
so
that's
over
the
there.
zero. Penalties, you can just leave it flat.
Right, nothing there because she didn't get penalized on anything. So you're gonna hit continue and then go out and hit continue again. And everything is a continue back.
So there's no adjustment.
Nope,
No.
nope. You're gonna hit continue. You're gonna hit back.
Do they have to put the address in?
No, you should put yes. It's the same as the federal. Yep.
Yeah. okay, you need to do that. So we're not-
Why would they? Why
Okay.
would they ask this question if you just hit that?
No, you already put it in, New York State, I don't know why this is the way the system works, but when you're doing the state. And you've got all the information in, it registers it, but then you go back, you gotta back out of the state. to go back to Federal, it's weird, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of funky.
It's like, it's a continue based system and then back to get to your main right here, your main form. And then, because we have nothing else to do in New York State, we just exit New York State return.
I think that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's weird, that's why I said it's funky. They don't have to do anything new, it's only if they're in college, because they don't have to do anything.
Right.
with the interest.
Right. It'll automatically show that they paid interest.
So it's a different thing.
It automatically pulls forward onto the state that she paid interest in federal. It should show up on the New York State when it breaks down things.
And exit New York State return.
Mm-hmm. So we are completely done with this tax return. We have went through, filled all her information in, put her star credit in New York State. We have her ID pen, we have the dependent care credit. So we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. So this is where you're gonna read the 1040. What I want you to get used to, because in some of your practice labs in your test booklet is
Well, it's still the same to the- No, you gotta go back again, you gotta back out, you're still in New York State.
Yep.
Going down. And that's in New York State.
Yep.
Yep.
and then just continue there and you should be on the 1040.
Yeah.
Okay, up on top, you're gonna see a view print return. I want you to go ahead and view print that. And you're gonna print your 2023 tax return. I want you to get used to doing that.
You want us to view?
View print, and then it's up top. It should be a little button. I'll click out of it again.
Well, it says, preview return first,
Yeah.
and then it gives you the print.
Oh, so view print up at top. It should generate a PDF
Okay.
and then print your 2023 tax return. Yep, I want you to hit print because it automatically prints it into a PDF. It doesn't actually print.
Also, continue button there. If they had printed it or gone out of it. I guess.
It would have gone out of it and you would have had to go back up to the top. So what I want you to go is to page 6. So our numbers should be 38,500 as her adjusted income. Her taxes withheld on all of her forms was 4,840. And she is getting a refund of $6,124 back from the federal government.
It's on page 6.
Page 6.
One more.
Page 6, 8879.
Okay.
Yeah. What are the numbers supposed to do?
Yeah, what? No, it's not. We'll have to go through.
The number should be what now?
It's 1040. That's okay, that's what we have, we just need to. The software you'll get used to. I had to figure out what did it go through right now. Yep, and then for you, to get back on the hour and there's something else. You can sit down there. Sorry. Right there. And then page 6. Yep. So
Your numbers should be the 38,500. Taxes withheld, 4,840, and then the amount refunded to you is 6,124. If you scroll down to page 7 for me. This actually breaks down everything for you. So you have to look at line 12, standard deduction or itemized deduction, Schedule A, 26,015. So she's getting, her deduction is $26,015. That automatic for her, for head of household, standard, I don't know, the deductions straight off the top of my head, it's 20,000 something this year. But because she has a disabled dependent, she gets an extra credit for having a disabled dependent in the home. So hers is higher than what a typical person with a normal situation of head of household. No, I think theirs is only like 13 something this year, 14 something this year. So that 2615, if you subtract it from 38.5, you'll see that her taxable income is only $12,485.
Yeah, somehow.
That's okay, we'll look. If you go to the next page, which is 8, you'll see tax. So this always confuses people. So basically they add in like credits and how much tax you paid and what they believe that like all your credit should be, and puts that towards your total tax, which ends up being 0 for her. So if you go into payments, you'll see from her W-2, she paid 4,840 in federal tax. And then she got an earned income credit of 1,284. So if you add those two, because her total tax was 0, she's getting all her money back. So it's the $6,124. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but so that on the top of that page, tax.
So they're saying
Was,
what,
down to 0 on line 24.
correct, because what they're saying is that's what she owed in federal tax based off from her, on that first page on line 15, her taxable income. So they're saying of the $12,485, she only owes $1,248. So when they look at her child tax credit, they look at other credits that they gave her, it brought her total tax down to 0. That's what that 358 and the 890 is.
Coincidence that the when you added the 2 credits on 19 and 20,
They came out 0. Probably for this scenario, it was a coincidence. You're always not gonna run into that.
Yeah.
Um,
If it was above 1248, but it would still, for that would be 0.
so no, if it was, let's say like, then she would have, her total tax would have been like, it would have calculated it down here. She would have got more money back in a refund.
I guess I was wondering if the credits, somehow the program.
Calculates it.
credits to make it exactly match the.
No.
So it was a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
And if the credits, line 21 was greater than line 16.
You're still gonna see a 0 here, but the refund amount down at the below is gonna be more.
Yep.
It automatically like calculates it in, so you don't even have to worry about subtracting, acting. Yeah. It automatically calculates everything. But that is how you read the federal side. Now, like sometimes in your scenarios, I'll just show you, like, if it says, educator's expense, how much should they get for an educator's expense? If you go to page 10 of the 1040-11, that's where it would be, or student loan interest deduction, great, on page 10. It's on line 21, 2,500. She only gets $2,500 credit for no matter how much. You could pay $10,000 worth of interest, and you still only get 2,500. There's like a max allocation of how much you can claim. So then if we scroll down a little bit further to, let me find the page here. It's 26. This is your state.
26 of the PDM.
Yep, 26 the PDF. This is your state. So you'll see basic information on the first one. If you scroll to 27, you're gonna see that their wages, salaries, and tips for New York State is the 30,500. She also has the gambling winnings and the student loan interest, bringing her federally adjusted gross income to 38.5. Now,
And we're not in federal.
no, they are. They're just pulling it through.
Just part of the.
Yep. So New York State has a standard deduction, which in this case, she qualifies for itemizing. Now, you're not really gonna know that. Most people are standard deduction. But if the system says, hey, wait, I noticed, you qualify for something else and your better benefit is to itemize, it's automatically gonna switch it for you. You don't have to force it. The only time that you would have to force it, which isn't really applicable here, is if you have like a 1090-18, you paid like $10,000 of your own money in, like your parents paid your college tuition and everything. It's usually, and they have a higher income, the keyword high income, it's usually beneficial for them to itemize that and not take the base deduction on New York State.
Simply, as we went through this practice, we don't choose whether it's standard
Mm-mm.
or itemized. And we wouldn't.
It automatically,
Yeah.
right, it automatically does it. So they're saying that for her standard deduction or her itemized deduction is 23,850. So you subtract 14,650 from that with her dependent exemption, which is 1. They're saying in New York State, her taxable income is $13,650, which is a little bit higher than federal. That's very typical. New York State has different criteria on how they determine how much tax you owe.
But the federal did not use it. They used standard.
Correct,
Right,
because it's
high.
higher.
Higher.
In New York State, I think like a standard deduction, for head of household is only like $12,000. Even with a dependent, so. So the taxable income is 13,650. Then the New York State tax of 551. If you keep on going down, because that's how much total New York State taxes is the 551. Keep on scrolling for me. They're saying total New York State voluntary contributions was 551. Because that's how much she paid. 61, she paid 551. Yeah. That's what they're saying she needs to have paid is 551.
Did you say line 61?
Mm-hmm. Total voluntary contribution.
What's who did that?
It's 27,
Oh,
I believe. Or 28, I lied. So it should say taxable income, 13,650 of that. She's responsible. Okay, so she's got the $551. She gets a dependent care credit of $697. She gets earned income of $385. She has other refundable credits of $350. Total New York State withheld was 1,815 off her W-2, so she clearly overpaid in New York State because they're saying in New York State that she should only be responsible for $551 in taxes. So 3,247. So they're saying with all her credits and the amount that she paid off her W-2, she put in 3,247. If you subtract the 551 in there, she will get the amount overpaid of $2,696. So their form's just a little bit more backwards
And that's gonna
than
be
the
for
federal. Correct. That's gonna be her refund.
And we'll go over a lot that way
Mhm.
because, we finish off forms a different way than how.
They do
this
it.
Practice
oh,
lab.
Yep.
So we'll show you what we need from you when this practice lab is complete.
I just,
I must have forgot to put in a routing number because it's paper check is X from mine.
So you gotta change it to the other.
so I gotta get in mine. I just have to make sure that I'm actually gonna go through this with you, cause I have this, I've already done this one like 3 times with you guys, like with different groups. So when you're in that, click out of the PDF itself and go back to the actual tax return. And just hit continue.
It says, welcome to the practice. lab."
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, so it's logging them out.
I know, I don't know
I don't
why
know
it's
what's going
logging
on.
them out.
Yeah, and you're.
So
right.
if you guys wanna just look up here, cause I'm back in it.
Yeah.
What you would do, because we know she has this, you're gonna go to the drop down and do e-file direct deposit, because we want to e-file it and she wants it in a bank account. Same with New York State, e-file direct deposit.
And let me just say something about that real quick, sorry. We suggest, and people have those, what are those cash cards and stuff like
Mhm.
that. We suggest direct deposit. It's much better. It's much better. That's great. It's better, safer. And it's faster. Direct deposit is 14 to 21 days, they're saying, but as we get into the season, it gets more like 14 days. It's direct deposited into their account. A paper check will take 6 to 8 weeks. They will not forward. So if we have families who move a lot, which we tend to have families that move a lot, they will not forward that check. They will go back to the IRS if they've moved. People can steal things out of their mailbox. It's just safer to go into a bank account if they can, I have some people that come in here and they have their cards and we do it, stripe cards and stuff like that they put them on. It's just a lot safer.
But
just
the
because of-
state, we do recommend that you have a bank account because the state is not allowing refunds to go on certain cards now. They're not putting them on there.
And state takes longer. We're just talking federal return. State can see them.
Yep. So
So sorry.
this taxpayer's pin here, if there's one of them, you can just copy it. Cause we need this later. So you can go ahead and copy that. That's
We're
okay.
just having you
Just
look up
up
here
here.
because for time's sake, because we don't know what happened.
This page, the fee summary page, you're just gonna bypass that completely because it's at 0 because we don't charge anything. But if you were a pay preparer, this is where you would put your
Yeah,
fee.
It's the same software as the my free taxes and tax layer. but they
So we
use it.
know she has a savings account, so you have to, on the deposit forms, it says checking or savings, so whatever ones they want it to go into.
Don't I have to go back into the tax account?
The bank name is
Hit
ABC.
the end, hit the end, hit the end. That's what
You
she's
can
doing,
pull
hit
the-
end.
This pulls the federal refund. State is automatic for some reason. You don't have to do anything for state. For some odd reason for federal, because they allow you to do multiple bank accounts. They make you pull the refund if there's only one, because if not, you have to split it between whatever bank accounts they want. So you would have to manually change that.
And to split an account, it actually produces a form, what is it, 8888?
Yeah,
Hint, hint.
Form 8888.
Or that's in your money for things, but, yeah, so it does,
So-
that. And, what was I trying to think? It's definitely, they can't just say, here's my bank account number and yes, it's a savings or checking, because if it's a checking, if it's really a savings, it will bounce back. It will go to the IRS, The IRS will then return a check to them 6 to 8 weeks after that.
And it'll be
So-
really upset.
Yeah, then they'll be like, where's my refund?
I have to have a a routing number that's actually a routing number for this, remember? I can do the bank one, but not. So just give me 2 seconds to pull that up. And all routing numbers for every single bank is public knowledge, so it's not like you like I'm gonna use Empowers right now because it's public knowledge. So it's 221380127, and it makes you confirm it. Type it in, but for the practice lab, I'm just gonna copy and paste, but you really should get in the habit of actually putting each number in. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit continue at the bottom. So we know she has a driver's license. This is where you put that driver's license in, the number.
Did you copy the pin earlier? Did you copy the ERO pin or the taxpayer pin?
The taxpayer pin.
So we'll give you a little hint on the taxpayer pin. It's a number 1 in the last 4 of their social.
Yeah, it's usually, it's
It's
like 1 and then the last 4, cause you're gonna have spouses.
And then the spouse is a number 1 in the last 4.
Yeah, and then the issue date is, 07/12/2021. Expiration date of 07/12/2024. It cannot be an expired ID, just so you guys are aware. New York, and there's that document number, that 3-digit code, which hers is AS3. We're gonna hit continue. Continue, and this brings it here, but typically where this customs and credits is, both of them, that pin, the taxpayer's pin that I had you copy, it's gonna have like this form, like, that has a bunch of wording. You scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and it has either accept or decline. That's on the back of that 13, the yellow form, the 13164, the consent disclosure. If this isn't signed, we have to paper file it. So that's
Okay.
giving us,
No, I think we can't change it.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
They can e-file, but we can't, we have to make sure if they decline that, we have to make sure.
or their
Like
information.
the intake worker should run a big X across it. They can e-file, but we will not be able to hold their information. next year.
So
So-
that's what that accept is and then I'll say put payers ID in, and that's where that number is.
So like if they say, no, I don't wanna accept the pay, like if they come in next year, this information is for next year.
And then here at Peace Anita, we have another thing, like all those questions right here. On the 3rd page of the yellow form that say yes, I prefer not to answer. There'll be a bunch of questions for that. Who prepared it, which would be your initials. And then whoever's gonna review it, you're really not gonna know, so you can just leave it blank, or you can put Dallas's initials and whoever's reviewing it can just change it. It's up to you on how you guys wanna do that. And then hit continue and it's gonna bring you to this. So I know here in Nita, we ask that you mark your tax return is ready for review. That prompts us to review it. Okay?
And we also do, see, they don't have the prompts. We'll walk anybody through.
We
ours.
have, any site coordinator will probably have different return tag statuses, because we have different ones here that say mark ready for review, waiting for information, incomplete, customer, declined, stuff like that.
As a reviewer, if you're a reviewer and you can sign in, we want you as a reviewer to go in and say, mark as complete, because if you say complete, I can literally go in there and we'll pick who can be ready to e-file, otherwise I have to go into everybody's single record. It makes it so much faster. I can just
Yep.
get the list and I go, they're ready.
So let's say you quality reviewed, you feel comfortable, you quality reviewed it, it looks great, you're just gonna hit that. That tells me, or Sharon or your site coordinator, that this return is ready to e-file. At the end of the day, we can see it in our transaction e-files and we just click, e-file. It's
Let's say
gone.
you two are basic tax preparers and you work at the same site.
Okay,
You can peer-to-peer all review, so like.
you save and
you're
exit the
save-
return and you are all done.
Your basic reviewer, you can go ahead and review her.
Uh,
But if you're at our site, we will go through all the slideshow.
yeah, right
That's
here.
right.
I'm gonna turn this back over to
Did
Sharon,
you not share? Okay,
so then we're all set.
okay, thanks.
It's Sharon.
It's Sharon. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now what to expect?
Well, I already went through.
Oh,
that.
you went through that. Okay.
Yeah, we're all done.
So,
I just don't know how to stop it.
oh, that's easy enough. And then I just do here, we did all that. Okay. And we say thank you. And other than that, give us a call. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.